Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is that you're joining me for this video. Thank you once again for clicking on the Penboy Roy Fountain Pen Review channel. The subject of today's video is going to be the Lamy Safari. Now before I get into the neutral zone, the good, the bad, the ugly, and high noon on this pen, I'm going to go over some background information, starting with the brand that is Lamy. Lamy started in 1930. It was started by a dude named Josef Lamy, and he named his brand the Füllfederhalter Fabrik, and what that means in German is basically Fountain Pen Fabrication Company. In 1939, what eventually happened was, due to the start of the Second World War, his company was required to make armaments, basically stuff that killed people. Additionally, during this time, they also made a lot of fountain pens. In 1948, 3 years after the end of the Second World War, Lamy decided to change his company's name from Füllfederhalter Fabrik to C. Josef Lamy GmbH. GmbH means Gesellschaft mit beschränkter Haftung, and what that means is limited liability company. Just so you know what that means, it just means that their liability extends only as far as their initial investment. 1952 rolls around, and that marks the introduction of their breakthrough with what was called the Tintomatic. Tinte means ink in German. Now what this did was it ensured an uninterrupted, clean flow of ink. 1962 rolls around and they relocate to their current location, which is in Heidelberg, Viblinken. It was also at this time that Dr. Manfred Lamy joins the team. He was 26 years old. 1966 rolls around and a dude named Gerd A. Müller says to himself, I am tired of designing tools that just shaves dudes all day long. I'm gonna switch over to Team Lamy and make cool pens. And he did so with the iconic Lamy 2000. 1980 rolls around, and it was at this time that the brand introduced the Lamy Safari. 1984, they develop a pen called the Lamy Eunuch. It is clearly unrelated to the 21st century BC practice of taking dudes and slicing off their sack. Nothing to do with that. Spelled UNIC. Who's ever coming up with those names might need to just do a little bit of soul searching. Somebody in marketing needs to be spoken to. There might be some counseling required for whoever it is that decided to name a pen Eunuch. And since then, they've been winning a lot of awards, making cool pens that have nothing to do with cutting off sacks of young men without consent. And that's always a good thing. That's all I got for the background information. Moving on to the neutral zone. Those elements about the pen which are neither good or bad, or can be good or bad depending on you. Now, I want to start with our nib. Our nib is a stainless steel proprietary nib. It's branded Lamy, and the way this one attaches to the feed is it has these wings that just wrap around and hug the feed. The feed is also a proprietary Lamy feed. This feed sits inside the grip section and is friction fit. Now, these aren't designed to be removed, and they're not supposed to be removed, but that doesn't mean you can't. You actually can, but putting it back together is almost as difficult as putting back the junk of a eunuch. Taking a look at the grip section is the same color as the rest of the entire body. This grip section has a triangular design with a curved bottom. It's designed to help newer users grip the pen. At the end of the grip section, we have this round black ring right before the threads. Then we have our threads. These threads screw into the interior of the body. Take a look here, we have our ink window. Now be advised, this ink window is open. Although it is obvious, this pen is not eyedroppable. Taking a look at the rest of the body, we have our Lamy block letter engraving and logo. After that, we have the bottom part of the pen. This bottom part of the pen is one unified piece with the rest of the body. The top of our cap has a finial. The finial is black, and it looks a lot like a plastic Phillip head screw. The rest of the cap is a single unified piece. The clip is a wire tension fixed clip. It has a moderate amount of resistance. At the bottom of the clip, it has a turn-up, making it easy to put into your pocket. Yet at the same time, if you're on a merry-go-round or on a roller coaster, this pen won't go flying out of your pocket. The cap screws and unscrews in 5 billion turns. What I mean to say is, no matter how much you turn this cap, it won't come off. You have to pull it straight up and off. It's a snap cap. Let me go over the packaging. The packaging came inside of this box. This box is weird. And inside this box, you have a sleeve. This sleeve is clipped onto the pen, and that's basically the buffer between the outside elements and the pen. When you first purchase the pen, you're going to have this little cardboard bracket keeping the pen from closing all the way. My assumption is so that the included ink cartridge that is also inside the pen doesn't rupture. Before moving on from the neutral zone, I want to make some quick comparisons with the Lamy Al Star, the bigger brother of the Lamy Safari. Although upon first glance these pens look identical, just know that the cap on the Lamy Al Star, the bigger brother, is in fact what it is. It's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit more brolic. If you look at it from the top of the Lamy Al Star is a little bit thicker. They both have the same finial. Here's another interesting difference. The clip on the Lamy Al Star is not as fixed as the clip on the Lamy Safari. If you push the hinge of the Lamy Safari in, it won't move. However, on the Lamy Al Star, and it seems that this is intentional, it's almost adjustable. You can push the hinge into the cap more or pull it out. Let's take a look at the grip section. If you look at the grip section of my Safari here, notice that the black ring is around the grip section. Now, since the Lamy Al Star is made of aluminum, the threads of the body are not made of aluminum. They're made of a plastic assembly. Therefore, the black ring on the plastic assembly on the Al Star is on the body as opposed to the grip. Speaking of the grip, if you compare the grips, the grip on the Lamy Safari is a solid color. You can't see through it unless you're Superman. The grip on the Lamy Al Star is translucent. Another notable difference that I want to talk about is the orientation of screwing the body onto the grip section. If you're the type of person that likes to have the Lamy logo facing straight up with the nib, then in order to get that to happen, you have to start with the Lamy logo facing down and then close it. However, the opposite is true with the Lamy Al Star. If you want the Lamy logo facing up, you have to start the logo facing up. Speaking of logo, if you take a look at the Lamy Safari, the Lamy logo is in block letters. On the Lamy Al Star, the Lamy logo is in outlined engraved letters. Turn your attention also to the bottom end of the pens. On the Lamy Safari, it is a one single unified piece with the rest of the body, whereas the end of the pen on the Lamy Al Star is a separate assembly. Absent the differences that I just mentioned, they are otherwise the same. The writing experience will be the same with both of them, since they share the same feeds and nibs. That's all I got for the neutral zone. Moving on to the good. Those elements about the pen that are good. Alright, so for this review, what I did is I acquired several samples. I got myself a white Safari, I got a lime green Safari, an apple green Safari. I also got myself 2 Al Stars. I got a ocean green Al Star as well as a lime green Al Star, all with the same nib tip size, all in extra fine. I did this because I wanted to see if the consistency within the line existed. And with all 5 pieces that I got, I have to say that the quality control and the consistency with the nibs are pretty on point, with the exception of one of the extra fines being a little bit broader, and that's the subject of this review here, the apple green. I'd say they were all on par when it came to line width. Additionally, I have to say that the quality control on every single piece was fantastic. Finally, one of the things that I appreciate a lot about the Safari line is in the various different types of colors. They also release limited edition colors every year, and I think that's kind of cool. Enough of the good. Moving on to the bad. Let's talk coin. Now, the MSRP of the Lamy Safari is $37. However, you can buy it at a discount at Gold Spot Pens for $29.95. That seems to be the average price with retailers throughout the United States online. When it comes to a $29 pen that writes the way it does, I have to say that there's not much bad to talk about. The only thing that I can really complain about is the fact that the pen does not come with a converter. It comes with one single, lonely cartridge. The absence of a converter seems to me a little bit on the stingy side. I think they should include a converter. You give them one blue ink. When they run out of that ink, oftentimes you find newer users will just put the pen down and leave it. There's been instances where I've given friends pens and they would use the cartridge that it came with. It didn't come with a converter, and after the cartridge runs out, they have a mindset pre-existing of disposable pens. They'll just put the whole pen down and let it sit there and go back to their 29-cent ballpoint pens. I feel as though if Lamy included the converter with the Safari, that may compel them to purchase a bottle of ink, different colors that they're interested in. They don't have to know anything about ink. They could just know that they like blue, they like black, they like blue-black. Oftentimes, in my experience, a lot of ballpoint users don't really get to experience blue-black with ballpoint pens. Not saying that they never do, but the availability of ballpoint pen refills in blue-black just don't exist as much as it does with fountain pens. I can see a newer user whose first fountain pen is a Safari say to themselves, blue-black, that looks cool, that sounds cool, let me pick that up. They ink it up with their cartridge converter that was included with the pen, they write with it, and now they're fascinated that they look up other colors, expanding the horizon and the whole scope of this whole fountain pen hobby. And as they're doing so, they discover other pens, and they say to themselves, whoa, I want to pick that one up. I want to pick this one up. I want to pick up that ink. They have inks that have red sheen, even though it's blue, that's cool, but limit it to just a single cartridge. As the old adage says, you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach him how to fish, he'll eventually get parasites, and he'll be able to eat forever, or at least until he gets tired of fish. I think that's how it goes, but you get what I'm saying. Include the converter. You're not just giving him a fish, you're teaching him how to fish. The converters are an $8 converter. I'm sure the markup of that converter is about 550%. Can they take a loss and just throw one in with the package? Sure. They simply choose not to. That's all I have for the bad. Moving on to the ugly. Those elements about the pen that should not be, but are. Nothing. It's high noon. Decision-making time. Should you or should you not pull the trigger on the Lamy Safari? This one's a real easy one. The Lamy Safari is a very appropriate pen for your newer user, an intermediate user, a collector because of all the various colors, as well as an advanced user, a person who spends thousands of dollars on a single pen. That person can enjoy a Lamy Safari. The intermediate user can enjoy a Lamy Safari. And for sure, a beginner can use a Lamy Safari. So yes, pull the trigger on the Lamy Safari. For $30, you're getting yourself a good pen. But like I said, the only thing that's a slap in the face is you gotta throw down a little more just to get yourself a cartridge converter. That was my review on the Lamy Safari. I hope it helped. Don't forget about the Penboy Roy Fountain Pen Review Channel discount code. Check out the description below for more information. And most of all, thank you guys, you viewers, for watching and supporting. Love you guys. Be well, be safe.
Eat wasabi peas instead of chips. During chick flicks, they'll make your eyes water, and girls will think you're sensitive.